Hello, we're back at it again. My name is Ortez, and welcome to Insure Your Success. And I'm actually filming this podcast on a Sunday, and it's my birthday. But I'm still here at work, and I had to get this guest because he's an individual that's a mover and shaker. And, I may call him and he may be on the opposite side of the world. So when he said, man, I could do it Sunday, even though it was my birthday today, I said, I got to jump on it. So this brother right here, I've been knowing for a long time. His family, I should say, is well respected in the Muslim community because he's also my Muslim brother, but well respected not just in the Muslim community, but in the city of Atlanta for all the uh, business opportunities that they provide, but also too for the philanthropy work that they have done, have given back tremendously to the community. I have a high regard for his family, his father, and he has took over that legacy. This brother right here, he's a global businessman. I don't like to say he's just local, but he's global. Uh, he's a restaurant owner. He's a business consultant. He has consulted many entrepreneurs and athletes and entertainers. He has given away a lot of money to help a lot of people. He is also the ambassador, and forgive me, y'all, if I say this wrong, but he's the ambassador of Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
He's the ambassador of a country in Africa. And he's going to talk about that, especially if you're interested in doing business on a global level. That's a whole different level that he's been on me for some time to get involved with. And I finally got that passport.
Got his passport.
Got
You ready
my
to
passport.
go?
This brother has a lot of accolades. I have his resume, a 30 plus year veteran in business.
Yes.
I would say even longer than that, because he came up in business. He has a lot of accolades. I said, man, that list so long. I'm gonna let you.
We all got that, man. We came out of do for self. So
do for self. That's right. That's right. Do for self. So he has a long list of accolades, but I like to introduce my friend, my brother, my special guest, brother Waleed Shamsid-Deen. Welcome to Insure Your Success podcast.
Ortez, thank you so much for this invitation, brother. I'm excited to be here, excited to share. It's always a pleasure to just exchange stories.
Yes,
I know you've been grinding for years, making money, giving back, supporting community. We do the same, and it's all about sharing and service what we do to impact change globally. So thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. Super excited to be here today and share some stories.
Well, man, thank you, man, because I know you're a busy man, and I had to catch you. You know, as they say, you got to strike the fire while it's hot, right? So I appreciate you. Appreciate you for stopping by. So I'm gonna jump right into it here because I know you're a busy man. Here, I mean, you've been in business for a long time.
Yeah.
Your family been in business for a long time. So tell the people a little bit about where you was born, where you was raised. Just give us a little background about who Waleed Shamsid-Deen is and a little bit about your family.
Yeah. So I was born in a restaurant, We're celebrating over 40 years now. Some of you all may have heard of Supreme Truth Delight, but my dad started actually in New York in the restaurant business, and all of us kind of grew up in that space. At very young age, we learned our work. Yeah, of course, the work that is that it served it. Great job for that. From Atlanta, with Atlanta home, born in Brooklyn, raised in Atlanta. Graduate of Southwest Staff High School, went on to Florida and University. I studied business. But for years, I learned business through the family. At dinner time, we talked about business, management, customer service, and all the things it takes to grind and survive and transition from just struggling to what it takes to be successful. That consistent persistence and being able to deal with talent and to put out those fires. So studied business at FAM, and then came out and began working with the family business. That time we had 10 or 11 restaurants. At that point, we were 25 locations over the summers of that. Doing business and fish and all kind of stuff. So we grew at one time to 25 locations around the city of Atlanta. including a wholesale business. We were importing fish and supplying it to restaurants. So up until like '96, one location at a time. Exposed to the build business, and then in '96, something unique happened where the Olympics was announced, and we were able to partner with the Airmark Concession Olympic Committee and participate in the '96 Olympics, running 25 concession stands inside the Olympic Stadium. So when Muhammad Ali lit the torch, we were there. And not only as a business, but we were able to hire about 250 young people to run these concessions for the opening ceremonies, the closing ceremonies, the track and field events, everything that was going on in the city. So it just opened my eyes as a young person, just graduating from college, working in the family business, to have the opportunity to participate in a global event like the Olympics. And now we're here for the World Cup, right? So we can say from the Olympics to the Super Bowl to the World Cup, just opening up opportunities, to engage as business owners and operators.
Wow. Awesome. So y'all can see, I told y'all this gonna be a special interview. So please keep your ears glued and take plenty of notes. So I want to talk about a little bit about your father.
Yes.
Because he the one that kind of lit that torch to get that business going. And every time I see him, he always have some words of wisdom to share.
Yes.
Always smiling, always encouraging. What sparked him to go into business? What was the message that sparked him to start this business, this legacy, I should say, because it's a legacy that you have taken on? What was the spark, you think?
Well, coming up as Muslim and being part of the nation, making that transition under Imam W.D. Muhammad, there was always that mantra: do for self. Create businesses, create opportunities, build a community that would service the needs of the community. And what is an entrepreneur? Someone solving problems, creating value, creating opportunities, creating jobs, and becoming producers to humanity. Mm-hmm. So as a community of Black Muslims in the North, or in New York, in Chicago, in Detroit, these were those who said, I'm going to create something, whether it's restaurant or retail or getting into wholesale or distribution or even manufacturing something. It was embedded in us that we had to create opportunities for our community. And I'm just an extension of that. Mm. It could take 40 years to become a success, 50 years. But what happens when you become successful? Your grandchildren and your great-grands are going to look back and say, wow, thank you, Pop. Thank you, Grandpa. The sacrifices that you made allowed us to have choices in life. When you look at who's hiring us in the community, Black people hire Black people. And if you can't create jobs and opportunities, even through tremendous sacrifice, what are we doing? What are we doing for our community? What are we doing for humanity? Humanity appreciates and values those who are contributors. And it's time for us to be contributors. It's okay to have a 9-to-5, but create a side job, create a side hustle, create a side business that will allow you some sense of freedom. That's what it's about. Sacrificing today so that future generations can be beneficiaries of your sacrifice. How many of us were born as trust fund babies? Raise your hand.
I know I ain't had no trust left in me.
Right, exactly.
My mother left me something, but it wasn't a trust. It wasn't a big fat trust.
Oftentimes, every time someone passed, we struggle to pay for a funeral.
Yeah.
We take collections. So we have to break that legacy and begin to create new legacy that we're passing down businesses. We're passing down assets. We're passing down insurance policies. We're doing things that are going to empower that next generation so they can now have a choice. Do you want the family business, or do you want a job? Do you want to, create legacy or create opportunity? Do you want to go to work, or do you want to be a philanthropist? Let's give the next generation some choices on what they want to do in the world. That's what it's about. That's what we grew up in. That's our mandate now, to explore the world as global citizens and create opportunities where we're contributors to humanity.
Excellent. So I want to ask you a question, because you talk about sacrifice.
Yes.
And on this podcast, what I like to do is I always ask my guests to share share their story about sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times on podcasts that I have seen in the world of social media, it over glamorize entrepreneurship. It doesn't tell a true story.
Yeah.
It often talks about lifestyle, which is not entrepreneurship, or either it highlights the end of the story of most successful people, but never truly highlight the journey.
Right.
So I often tell people on this podcast, we talk about the journey.
Yeah.
And part of the journey is the struggle.
Right.
Because the struggle is real. And I think people get into entrepreneurship because it sounds sexy, as they say.
Right.
It sounds good being your own boss, controlling your own destiny, unlimited income, and all these other good words, good feel-good words that they tell us. But what they don't prepare you for is the struggle. So that's why we see so many people fall out of entrepreneurship, particularly in the business that you are in the restaurant business, where it is a high level of people, a lot of people that don't make it.
Right.
So talk about some of those challenges and some of the things you had to do to adapt, because I think another reason why people don't succeed in business because they don't know how to adapt.
Yeah, that pivot.
They don't know how to pivot.
Yeah.
As times changing. Because I'm quite sure how your father ran a restaurant, back in the day. It's totally different how things are done now, and some people just kind of stay stuck where they are. So talk about some of those struggles and the importance of pivoting and adapting.
Well, first of all, I wrote a whole book about that.
Yes.
It's called Excellence at a Minimum, The Plight of an Entrepreneur. And that's what entrepreneurship is. It's that struggle, it's that plight, it's that sacrifice, it's that persistence. It's doing what it takes to succeed. Because there's no safety net. There's no fall back on. You get up, it's not about the hunt. It's about the hunt and the kill. If you don't kill something, you're not going to eat. If you don't write that grant or write that proposal or create an opportunity to exchange that goods or services for money, then how you going to pay your bills? That is the reality. Some nights, you sleep like a baby. You wake up every 30 minutes and cry. And you're trying to figure out what's that next step. You have the weight of entrepreneurship on your shoulders. Yeah. People depend on you, their livelihood. When you have employees, 10, 15, 20, 100 employees, they are basing their livelihood on the job that you've created for them. So that weight is not just you, your family, your children. That weight becomes the responsibility you have for your employees, the vendors, the taxes, the government, everything else that falls in line with being an entrepreneur. So it's heavy. And you have to have the ability to pivot. If it's not working, what are you going to do? How do you make a change? What is the 8th or 9th revenue stream that you can generate? Entrepreneurship is making money 3 different ways. 1, working hard. You got to get up and go to work and work hard for your money. 2, you got to create opportunities for other people to work hard for your money. If you don't have no employees and you ain't creating no jobs, are you really an entrepreneur? Right? And then you got to get your money to work hard for you. And that's investing. You have to work hard, get others to work hard, and get your money to work hard for you. By utilizing all 3 ways, you create a level of affluence. And affluence is being able to buy the things that you need and afford the things you want. Affluence leads to influence. Influence in other people. Influence in politics. Influence in trade and commerce and business. Influence leads to power. The ability to be able to get big things done with very little effort. So if you're not working hard and getting others to work, you don't become affluent, you don't become influential, and you don't have any power. Power leads to production. You're producing jobs, you're producing opportunities, you're producing goods and services, not just domestic, around the world. And that production gives you respect. Everybody wants to be respected, but nobody wants to go to work. They want that instant gratification, right? They want to play a lottery,
instant gratification,
and get millions of dollars. That's that lifestyle. That's that lifestyle, brother. But they don't want to do the work.
They don't want to do the work.
And you and I, hey man, we up for Faja, up early in the morning, 5, 6 in the morning, getting it in. When you wake up at 9 o'clock, you done missed half the day.
You miss half the day.
What can I get done between 5 and 9 while everybody's still sleeping? That is entrepreneurship. My dad used to say the early bird catches the worm.
So I tell my daughter that nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream.
That's it, a dream. And then it used to be a commercial, and I joke with my family all the time. I think it was in the 80s. It was like a donut commercial, and every morning the guy get up, time to make the donuts. That is embedded in me because I'm up 5 o'clock. Hey, it's time to get out here and make something happen. Because people are depending on me. That is the plight of an entrepreneur. That sacrifice is not just about me; it's about my family. It's not just about my family; it's about my legacy, generations to come. It's not just about my legacy; it's about my community. Our community is hurting. You look at the statistics on what's going on in the U.S. and abroad. So we have responsibility to create opportunities for our community. And it's not just about our community here, it's about our community globally. We have to think global and act local. And then think local and act global. It's a dichotomy there that we struggle with as entrepreneurs. What does it take to achieve the level of success that's going to impact others? If the vision is not broad enough for others, the vision is not big enough. That's the real responsibility of entrepreneurship. That's the real plight of understanding those challenges and creating balance until that money comes.
I hear you. Well, you preaching today. So let's talk a little bit about opportunity. Because you provide opportunity. One thing I can say, you have definitely provided me opportunity. You're always talking to me about different opportunities. Every time you see me, you say, hey man, I got this opportunity. I got that opportunity. You always, as they say, trying to put people on. That's what they say. Right. So share with me a little bit about the opportunities that you are currently involved in. Or that you have been involved in maybe now or maybe in the past, but share with us about some of the opportunities out there because you involved, in a lot of different things. And so I just want people to know because people are looking for opportunity, right? Because somebody asked me about the restaurant business. I'm gonna say, look, you need to call this brother here because I don't know nothing about the restaurant business. You're interested in going across seas and do business, Africa, you need to talk to this brother right here. But share with us in details because, like I said, man, your resume is so long, and I'm looking at all the opportunities that you have been involved with and all the people that you didn't help. So share with us a little bit about that.
Well, honestly, entrepreneurs are always looking at new opportunities. And it's not really a hustle. It's business. How is it that you can have a business with 15, 16 subsidiaries? Or you can have a company with 10,000 jobs? Or you can be a multinational, offices all over the world? Or you can be publicly traded, where you're raising capital on the markets. An entrepreneur is always thinking on a very large level and pushing for new possibilities out of their current situation. So my dad didn't start with just one location and say that's it. He grew a restaurant company with 25 locations and a wholesale company. Still haven't filled those shoes. I might have a couple government contracts and a food truck and some catering and some other opportunities. But look, to be in the 80s and 90s, running 25 locations and a wholesale company and a franchise company, he was one of the first two that had franchised his own company. Well, he didn't go out and buy Burger King or McDonald's. He created his own restaurant and began to license those opportunities for other people. That's profound. So when you think of opportunities as an entrepreneur, you have to look at what the possibilities are in the world and be able to tap into new possibilities. AI, what's going on? Africa, what's going on? China, what's going on? From electric vehicles to job creation, government contracts. If I would have known 20 years ago or 30 years ago how to engage with government contracts, that's a space I've been playing in a long time ago. Providing a service to one of the largest consumers of products and goods in the world, the US government. Why aren't we 8A certified or local small business or minority owned business or veteran owned businesses going after government contracting? So as an entrepreneur, it's like an orchestra. You're directing and or a painter, you're painting a masterpiece. And that could be job creation or service opportunities or domestic opportunities or opportunities to do things abroad. We always have our eyes open and our finger on the pulse on what we can create and provide for those who have needs. When you look at the production chart, in economics, manufacturing, distribution, retail, consumer, wholesaling, all these are opportunities within the production chart. But as an entrepreneur, you have to look at that as the chart of opportunity. As a consumer, you're in the business of spending. When you're in retail, you're in the business of providing goods and services to a consumer. When you're manufacturing, you're taking natural resources and producing something to provide to consumers. And on all those levels, there are opportunities to engage, right? You could be a car dealership, you can be a car manufacturer, you can be a car salesperson, or you can be an automotive consumer. Which one do you want to be? You want to be the one buying and spending all your money to buy a car? Or do you want to be the person at the top, taking that steel and metal and manufacturing and creating electric vehicles like Tesla? All those opportunities, and we have to figure out how to engage. If I'm gonna be in the business of selling something, just think one item like light bulbs, and you want to provide light bulbs to all the school systems in your city. What size would that contract be? Every elementary, middle school, high school, and college, you want to provide them light bulbs. Not just one product for one customer. I got to sell 1 million hamburgers to make $1 million, right? I got to have 1 million customers. But I could have one customer, you mean, and just sell chalk or tables or chairs. Look at the difference when you think about larger opportunities and larger possibilities. So it's expanding our mind, it's opening our mind to possibilities. And when you get that gift, that's where I need to be. It makes sense. I have the intellect for it, I got the capital for it, I got the relationships for it, I got the network for it. Then you go get it. And again, if it takes 40 years to create that level of success, your grandchildren would thank you for it. Mm-hmm. And that's what my dad did. It took him 40 years to build a franchise restaurant systems. And now I'm benefiting from it. My kids are benefiting from it. And we're looking at new opportunities and new ways to engage in this thing called food service. Now expanded to food insecurity. Now expanded to a foundation. Now expanded into Meals on Wheels and government contracting and senior citizen centers. Started with understanding food service. And now we're in a whole space of food insecurity, not just domestically, but abroad.
And so talk a little bit about food insecurity, particularly among seniors, because that's something kind of dear to my heart.
Yes.
As an insurance professional, that's the market that I service is the senior community. So I see it firsthand.
Yeah.
I see food insecurity, daily on the firsthand. A lot of our seniors not really having enough to eat.
Yeah.
That is a big thing that is not talked about enough. I don't think. But talk a little bit about that, because not only do you provide jobs, but also giving back to the community in a sense. Like I say, in the beginning of this introduction, I know your family gives a lot, gives a lot. And I know you have this nonprofit in place to help with food insecurity, which kind of birthed out of your restaurant. And I'm glad you explained how the restaurant opened up doors.
Right.
Because some people have a misconception about multiple streams of income. They think 7 different businesses and it's just one you, and you got no staff, no employees, just bound for disaster, right? Because I think that concept is taught wrong, but that's another conversation for another time. But talk a little bit about your foundation and how, coming out of the restaurant, you started this foundation to help with food insecurity.
So first of all, Ortez, thank you for your support of the foundation and what we're doing with seniors over the years as well. We have a nonprofit. It was started in 1996, right out of the Olympics. At that time, it was called Youth Vibe, which stood for Vision, Industry, Business, and Empowerment. And we were teaching young people about entrepreneurship. Saturday program turned into a full after-school program. We were funded by the Georgia Department of Education, 21st Century Community Learning Centers, Department of Human Services. We grew it from $50,000 a year to over $1 million a year through after-school programs and teaching young people about business and entrepreneurship. Fast forward, COVID came around, and there was a need to feed youth and seniors. So we used one of our locations to create meals and feed the community. And it was amazing because foresight was we just had a service that we need to do for our community. Hindsight was it opened up the opportunity for government contracts. And we began a Halal Meals on Wheels program to feed Muslim seniors. Then in partnership with Meals on Wheels of Atlanta, we started feeding seniors throughout DeKalb County. And now we currently run 5 senior citizen centers in DeKalb County. We also deliver about 1,000 meals using our home delivery meal services. We got 5 vehicles that we run, refrigerated trucks and drivers, delivering meals into the homes of those who are in most need, our senior citizens. You know, we have government contracts now. We have strong community partners like Meals on Wheels of Atlanta, Meals on Wheels of America. We've created jobs, we're feeding the community, and it all came out of a pivot. COVID was here. We had to close the restaurant, and we decided, as opposed to just closing it, using it as a hub to feed our community. So super excited about that, because it's not just business and entrepreneurship; it's community service. To provide breakfast and lunch to our seniors, to deliver home delivered meals to our seniors, to be almost like wellness checkers or first responders. You know, you're there, you're communicating, you're seeing their conditions, you're giving them smiles, you're feeding them, and that feeling is like, wow, you know, to be able to provide this service for our community and it be received in a way that's appreciated. And that's something most of us don't get to experience. I was just out last week delivering home delivered meals. I had 50 stops in one day. And it was the day they had 2 boxes each one. So you never know. Sometimes I'm with heads of state traveling the world. Sometimes I'm on my food truck.
That's right.
You know, flipping burgers. Other times I'm doing community service.
Plot of an
And
entrepreneur.
that goes back to that balance. You know, what we are doing as individuals for our community. And it feels amazing to say, I'm feeding our community, I'm feeding our seniors, I'm feeding our youth, I'm feeding our Muslims, and I'm doing it with the intention of service. And the blessings are 10x, 15x, 20x. You'll be surprised how many blessings you get from being an entrepreneur.
Amen. Putting service first.
That's it.
That's the key, man. Putting service before the money.
That's it.
Key. So we have coming up here in Atlanta the FIFA.
Yep.
And so everybody trying to figure out how can they capitalize on FIFA. And one of the things that you have been good at is creating a strong network. You are probably one of the best networkers I know. You know, you could just go in a room and network with the right people.
Right.
To later on put you in a position. I think a lot of times people wait too late to network to be in a position.
Right.
But you got to, networking to get yourself in the right position has to start early. So now everybody trying to rush to figure out how they could get, part of FIFA, how they could capitalize off of FIFA. But talk about the importance of creating those relationships and networking, because I know you mentioned earlier how now you are doing some things with people to capitalize off that. But talk a little bit about that, how that has to start early and not just when something comes about.
Right. So the Olympics was in 96.
Yeah.
The proposal started in 90 when they announced the Olympics.
6 years.
So if you were waiting to 95 to participate, all the money was carved out and cut up and the deals were done, from construction to building to the whole 9 yards. The Super Bowl was 2019. Deals were done 2016, 2015, 2017. We had tastings, we had relationships, you had to register as a vendor, you had to be certified, you had to be licensed to participate with the Super Bowl. Same thing with the World Cup. They announced the World Cup years ago that it was in Atlanta. So those relationships had to be started with the city of Atlanta, with the website Showcase Atlanta. Your business has to be registered, licensed, permitted. You had to attend all the meetings about the opportunities that would take place around FIFA. And now they just announced that Atlanta's gonna have the Super Bowl in 28. Those deals are getting cut now.
Getting cut right. Y'all hear that, right? Y'all need if you want to take advantage, you can't wait to 6 months or a year from now. So
we had a meeting at the Rice Center. I think about 200 food service providers showed up, from all over, not just Atlanta, but the Southeast. People coming in, they want to bring their trucks and their vending and participate. Oh, well, you need an Atlanta business license, you need an Atlanta address, you need an Atlanta commissary, if you hadn't already been established, 90% of the opportunities were done. So networking is not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. And how do you get people to know you? In business, that's networking. You got to get out to the chamber associations, the Rotary clubs, to the community, your elected officials. How many of you all know your elected officials? From the governor's office to the
stay
mayor,
behind social
to the
media.
CEO. No, you have to get out.
That's right.
We do tastings. We feed the commissioners. We're registered as vendors with the city of Atlanta and DeKalb County. We roll our food truck around. You know, we use actually food as our business card. through feeding the people, through feeding the community.
Everybody
That becomes our networking.
Yeah, everybody like to eat. Bro.
Everybody has to eat. They like to eat and they have to
They
eat.
have to
It's
eat.
a necessity. So networking is important. But again, it's getting people to know you. And for me and our business is through service. Service is what led me to become a diplomat. It was through services I built relationships throughout the world. Senegal, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, the Middle East, Saudi, Qatar, Dubai. It's all through service. How can I serve our community? And that has opened up the door to do business. Because people do business with people they know. And how do you get to know people? Through networking.
So let's talk about some of these opportunities, your networking that kind of led you to do business across seas. Talk about that, especially your relationship as an ambassador with Sierra Leone. I'm trying to say it right, y'all. I'm trying to say it right. But talk about how those relationships and your network kind of led you to doing business in those places across seas.
Well, really, it started with Mexico. I was on vacation, my wife and family, and we were in Tulum. You know, sometimes you gotta de-stress. You know,
I'm still trying to learn that.
Get some of that weight off of you. So we went to visit, and we saw. We came in through Cancun. We saw Playa del Carmen. We saw Tulum. Said this would be an excellent opportunity to expand our brand. And we looked around. I was like, look, KFC is over here, and other American brands. If they can do it, we can do it. What's stopping us from being multinational or from creating opportunities outside of just the US or outside of just our city? Nothing. There's nothing stopping us. You got access to the world if you got a passport. You got access to do business any place. And sometimes it's easier because the people look just like us, as opposed to the challenges and the plight with doing business with people who are trying to always hold us down and keep us down. So once I saw that, I said, man, if we can do it in Mexico, we can do it any place in the world. And when you start to travel, you start developing the eye to see opportunities. Any place you go, oh, wow, they don't have this or they don't have that, or I can bring this service or I can bring this opportunity. And oftentimes outside of the US, the cost is much lower because of the currency, because of the exchange rate. In Mexico, I think minimum wage was like 60 cents an hour. I had 11 people on staff. My payroll was under $1,000. I had a pool guy, had a driver, had a nanny, you know, ended up purchasing a small boutique hotel, opened up a restaurant, and the cost of living was so much cheaper. You could do so much more with very little resources. You take that into Sierra Leone, minimum wage like 16 cents an hour. I can employ 100 people. You know, you want to be in agriculture, you want to be in mining, or you want to be in construction. You know, as an entrepreneur, once you understand business, the science can transition between industries. You don't have to be an expert. Just hire somebody who's an expert. That's the mindset of an entrepreneur. I can be in any industry I want to and just hire the people who know how to do it. If you know how to do hair and I know how to do business and you go try to get a loan and I go try to get a loan, who's going to get the loan? Somebody who can just do hair or somebody who understands the language? Cash flow, income statement, balance sheet, business plan, performers, net present value, internal rate of return, you know? Who's going to get the money? So once you develop that mind and identify that opportunity, it's unlimited to what you can do when you start thinking about multiple revenue streams. You can be in any industry you want and be successful when you have the right mentors and the right team around you and the right access to capital. That's what it's about when you think about going global.
And so how did you wind up becoming an ambassador of an African country? How did that happen?
Through service. I traced my DNA through African ancestry. We all should know where we come from. And it came that I was Sierra Leonean from the Mende tribe.
Hmm.
So I wrote the president. I'm interested in serving my community. I traced my DNA back to Africa. I understand I'm Mende. And I got a response and an invitation to come. They said, how soon can you get here? I said, I'll be here next week. We talk about how soon. I never let money keep me from doing the things that I need to do.
Say that again.
Never let money keep you from doing the things that I need to do or that you need to do. The first time I went to Nigeria, it was on a buddy pass. I left with $100,000 investment in my business. The first time I went to Dubai, it was on a buddy pass. The second time I was guest of the ruler. So when somebody extends an invitation, I show up. Most of the time we don't. We don't show up for our family, our community. We don't even show up for our business. We're going to open up at 9 o'clock. We show up, it'd be 10:15, 11 o'clock, 11:30. We don't value time.
Yeah.
So when they said, how soon? I said, I'm coming. And when I got there, they said, you know what? We want you to serve. I was just asking to be like an honorary consul or consul general, just something to you. I said, no, you're special. We're going to make you a special envoy for trade and investment and allow you to represent Sierra Leone all over the globe. So I've been to over 40 countries now. I've been to major conferences in Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Senegal, Qatar, Dubai, you know, whether it's the food and security conferences or the banking, Islamic Development Bank conferences or the tech conferences in Marrakesh, representing a country, bringing resources and foreign direct investment and opportunities to engage in Sierra Leone. So now my mandate is to build bridges between the diaspora, us as African Americans, and the continent, leading delegations of people. I took 51 people to Senegal to promote trade and investment. I just led an academic delegation to the Gambia and Senegal as well. I led a delegation to Saudi Arabia around Islamic banking. And it's just opening up new doors and new opportunities and new possibilities to engage through service. It all started with that letter. I would like to serve my country. The first time I landed in Sierra Leone, they took me right to the graveyard and said, here's the last 400 years of your lineage. This is your tribe, your warriors, your chiefs, you know, all the people that you've been disconnected to lay right here. Now imagine reconnecting to something we've lost. Every Black person in America should be doing African ancestry, getting their DNA, finding out what country they're from, and committing to serve. Get a passport, go home. See what we've been disconnected from, what our culture was like, what our tribe was like, what our history was like, what kind of businesses and opportunities are there. Every other ethnicity is tapped into their country. They send money back, create jobs, hire, expand, and build. Why aren't we? Through service.
Through service. So I got two more questions here before we wrap up here. First question is, what advice would you give someone maybe kind of new to entrepreneurship, going through maybe some struggles? What advice would you give that individual? Just one thing that you would give.
Find a good mentor. Tony Elumelu, billionaire in Nigeria, created the Tony Elumelu Foundation. He put up $100 million to create African entrepreneurs. And his formula was, start a business. I'm going to invest in your business. I'm going to link you with an entrepreneur to help you mitigate your challenges and those pitfalls. And then we're going to encourage your government to support you. So I would say find a good mentor who has done what you're doing that can help you mitigate your risk and avoid pitfalls, identify resources, and then place you in a position for success.
And the last question is, I ask this to everybody that come on my podcast.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself either in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah. Doing more for my people, my family, my community, being a contributor to humanity. You know, when people look back, I want them to say he was committed to serve, and that service allowed him to build legacy. And I think that's a space that I want to play in. It's not about local anything. It's about global opportunities, global perspectives, global entrepreneurship, and really impacting the world. The world is too small, and we were divided so that we can get to know one another. Jump on a plane, travel, explore other cultures, other religions, other sensitivities, and then celebrate those differences and see how we can become, better humans, better people. And that's what I'm providing for my children. They travel with me. That's what I want for my grandkids, to be global citizens, have multiple passports, and be able to move around the world unencumbered, where it's not just city of Atlanta or DeKalb County or the state of Georgia or even the United States. Get out and travel and explore new possibilities. You might have homes all over the world, doing business all over the world, and really enjoying what it is to be human, not just African.
And tell the people where they can find you at, man.
You can't. I'm underground. I'm invisible. I'm moving. You can find
on social media.
Ortez will put you.
That's how they get. No.
I don't even. Man, honestly, I'm not even on. I have a couple of sites, and I let my wife manage those. I really.
You don't really know. Well, look, y'all, just type in Waleed Shamsid-Deen because he on Facebook, he on Instagram. His wife manages now, but he's on there. Look this brother up. Follow him on social media. I promise you. Hit him up in the DMs. His wife will make the connection because he's on that. He's not a man. He too busy, y'all, to be on social media, right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
But that's what it's talk. That's what we talk about. You have to have the right network of people around you.
Right.
Because what I have learned with most successful entrepreneurs, they really don't have no time to be on it. Usually someone else that's kind of managing things for them. I haven't got that yet. I still got to manage mine. You know what I'm saying? But yes, reach out to him. Make sure y'all follow him. Make sure y'all connect with him. This is a good brother. Purchase his book, A Wealth of Information, man. I truly appreciate you, bro, for taking time out your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
You a brother I respect because you not only talk the talk, you walk the walk. You on the front line. Even though you have many people that support you and work around you, but you always been a brother that's been on the front line. So you lead by example, man. And like I said, once again, man, I appreciate you for coming.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So I appreciate you all for taking time out to watch another episode of Insure Your Success. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, share this with someone so that way you can be informed when another episode is released like this. But until next time, peace, God bless, be safe, and keep it pushing, keep it grinding. Peace out.
Peace.